Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, music, lifestyle, news, a lot of things, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actor, been in a lot of really cool projects, including Cobra Kai and Walking Dead, to name a few. We're with Jose Miguel Vasquez. Jose, welcome to Popternative, man.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. This is amazing, Peter. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much. I can't wait to chat. It's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be an awesome chat, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get into kind of some of the projects, and it's an amazing time for kind of TV, and you're kind of an actor that's been in a lot of really cool TV shows. But for you specifically, as kind of an actor and a storyteller, when did that kind of start for Jose Miguel Vasquez? Like, when did you kind of decide that acting was something you wanted to do?
I think I really woke up to the possibility of this in high school. I went to Flanagan High School in South Florida, and I was determined on. It's funny. It's Sunday today, at least when we're filming this, and today the Dolphins are playing, and I'm based out of Atlanta, and I can't watch the Dolphins game here. It's very difficult to do so. But my dream as a kid was to be on the Dolphins someday and play. But drama acting came, and it kind of changed my life, and it all really started in high school. I saw a lot of seniors that they were usually kind of people I stayed away from because I didn't understand that world. But then I experienced theater and I experienced acting, and it just changed my life, man. It was something that was kind of effortless, where football was so difficult. It's just a difficult thing.
Absolutely. And now you're based in Atlanta right now, and you know, Atlanta is rocking right now for a lot of actors and storytellers right now. There's a lot of cool things being shot in Atlanta, but there's a lot of very talented people that are in Atlanta right now.
Yes, definitely, man. The market here is growing. I think, you know, what's interesting is the world of this industry has turned to a lot of self-tapes. Everything's being done with self-taping and things like that. We've been doing it for a long time like that here. There's a lot of great infrastructure in place, and not just in Atlanta, but the Southeast. You know, a lot of the training I did was in Florida, and that really set me up, man. Because once I moved up here from Central Florida, where I started my family, finished college, moved up here, and I was ready to go, man, ready to roll. And that really has a testament to the talent that's here in the Southeast. There's a lot of great talent, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera, especially. Yeah.
But like, just a shout out to a few shows. I mean, I know because I believe like Cobra Kai, I believe, is shot in Atlanta. Yeah, and I know, I'm not sure. I know there's a lot of Atlanta-based actors in Ozark, but I don't know if it's shot in Atlanta.
It is.
Okay, and then there's Stranger Things. I also know is shot in Atlanta.
Correct.
That's I mean, that's like we just named three of like the biggest shows on the planet right there.
Oh yeah. No, this place is doing really well for the industry, and it's really keeping people employed. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful machine. I remember the first time I came here in late January. Where was it? No, it was February 2014. February 2014, I came up here. The first time I came up here to shoot a film, and I saw it firsthand, you know, and it had been going on already for a couple of years, but it was the first time I saw this machine of like production, the way the streets would close down, and the way that the city knew how to mold itself to making it, you know, feasible to film and to create these great shows and movies, you know?
Oh, for sure. And yeah, we'll talk about that specifically. But for you, I just wanted to kind of talk about Cobra Kai briefly because, you know, you're in that show, you play a principal, you have a really cool scene in that show. I mean, that show is just like, it's unbelievable what they created. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you take an iconic kind of series, you know, from the 80s with Cobra Kai, with Karate Kid, you know what I mean? And you transform it now to, you know, a spin-off with their kids and, you know, everything else going on. It's just unbelievable what they created.
Listen, man, these guys took something that they knew worked. They're great storytellers. They're clearly fans of everything that has to do with this storyline. And and they just did it justice, man. They really brought to the forefront Johnny's story, and then to get thrown in there as the principal of the high school was wonderful. You know, I auditioned for the role at least 2 or 3 times before that, and I was just glad to get on the show. I was a fan of the show, and I knew that it was buzzing for a reason. You know, as a YouTube show first, it was doing so well because it just takes these characters and really makes them tangible, man. It made them, especially with Johnny, this guy who was kind of highly misunderstood. You know?
Now you're on Netflix and it's like just blowing up. Yeah. And I think what's really cool is, you know, I've interviewed, it's just like every season obviously had like focal point characters, and you know, Joe So, who played Kyler in season 1, you know, he came on my show, and he's not in season 2, but because it's on, like, it got released on Netflix, it's almost like it's fresh, so people are kind of going back and watching it, and it makes me wonder, it's like, because it has a big platform like Netflix, and certain characters that you don't see in season 2 that are on season 1, maybe if they, you know, develop a following because they're on Netflix, maybe they'll show up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, it's like the move to Netflix is very essential right now to a lot of the storytellers that showed up in season 1 and 2, if you know what I mean.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Netflix has been changing the game for a long time, and they definitely changed the game for Cobra Kai.
They did, 100%.
I know for a fact that the creators they had a feeling this would eventually happen, and I'm glad it did, because I'll be honest, I was expecting a good explosion of exposure for this incredible show, but not to the degree that it's happened. I mean, the fact that it stayed at top 10 for like what, it's been 3 weeks now or something, it's crazy.
But I think, and you know what, it's not fair to say, because there's a term that's always used for shows called cheesy, right? If a show is cheesy or not, you know what I mean? That's a term that's thrown around a lot, right, Jose? So with like a lot of people, you know, are looking at these shows, you know what I mean, and they're, you know, targeting a certain demographic, you know what I mean? They want, but like Cobra Kai is different because it's targeting, I feel like, the new generation and the old generation too, the people who grew up in Karate Kid, and it's just like they hit it out of the park, man. Like, it's just so good, and that whole sequence, that fighting sequence in your school, because you're the principal of that school. How dare you let that happen? By the way.
Oh man, listen. You know, up until that point, there was no need for high security. I mean, I thought I was going to handle the school just fine.
How nuts was that sequence, though? It was crazy.
Oh, listen, man, it's one of the most incredible things I got to watch, because you don't suspect it's going to take as much effort, because you're in a school setting, but then you have the stunt coordinator, and it was a beautiful dance. I watched. You know, dance is a big part of my life. My wife danced for a long time. So being on set and seeing the stunt coordinators choreograph this whole beautiful fight, the sequences, the way the stunt doubles had to come in during the filming. I mean, the whole of it was just wonderful to be a part of, just kind of standing on the sideline of this whole thing, and the timing with Paul Hauser coming out of the hallway. I mean, it was incredible, man. It's one of my favorite things that I've lived on a set to this day.
Well, I was telling Sholo Marduena that I think it's like one of the craziest things on a TV show in the last 5 years. Like, that comes to mind. Like, if I just think of not even shows, if I think of scenes, that's a scene that I think of right away.
Right.
Because it was just so it's just so like, yeah.
I'll tell you what, creatively it reminded me of, and obviously a very different show, different tone, but it reminded me of Daredevil, which was also on Netflix for a while. There's a really great one take fight scene in the first season. And this is the same, when I was on set, we were filming this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I might have told it to somebody. It's like, this reminds me of that scene, because the intricacies and the detail that went into making sure everybody was standing where they needed to stand and hitting where it was just incredibly impressive.
Absolutely. Couple of kind of trends or general things about the industry I kind of want to share and kind of hash out with you right now, if you don't mind. Things I've kind of noticed about the industry. One, there's 3 kind of specific things. One is just a general one, that the directors of photography and the cinematographers on shows these days have just like they're just destroying it, man. Like, it's just like look how good do all these shows look.
Yes, indeed, man. This is a show that I think taps into the nostalgia and also brings in a fresh look to to the way this story is told. And I mean, that's in terms of Cobra Kai, but in general, I think in general, you're seeing shows bring this cinematic experience to the living room. And it's, we're living in what I've heard it coined like this in a couple interviews and articles I've read. This is kind of a new golden age of television and film. And it's a beautiful time to be alive in this industry. It really is.
Yeah, for sure. And Cobra Kai could be thrown in there as well. But nerd culture, geek culture, superhero culture, a lot of that stuff. I mean, let's be honest, right? I remember, growing up, loving Spider-Man because my name's Peter, right? Peter Parker. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the best. But I get jabbed at a little bit or teased, if I was wearing a Spider-Man shirt because nerd culture and geek culture was not as big as it was now. Do you know what I mean? It's mainstream now. Isn't it kind of weird?
It is so weird, man. I remember those days where it was like your comics and you had your comic book cards and you kind of just talked a little bit about it on the down low. It was easier to say you played sports than I love DC and I love Marvel. But now it's, you're talking about now you got the Zack Snyder cut. We talk about this. So I have a YouTube channel with my family, and this is our thing. We're kind of like the nerdy family that also we're artists, but we talk about this stuff all the time because we're living in an age where you have our generation that can sit with their kids and we can watch these great superhero shows or dramatic shows like Cobra Kai, and it's bringing families together, and I absolutely love that because there's times where me and my kids and my wife were just like a bunch of friends hanging out. It's really
no, absolutely. It's insane. Talk to me quickly about your YouTube channel. Where can people check that out?
Oh man, you just go to YouTube and type. It's just one word. It's an acronym, and it's Majeliv. It's spelled Majeliv, and it's just the five of us. We do a lot of. We started with reaction videos to movie trailers. Yep. But we have all kinds of fun stuff on there. We have a couple of short films we've done and little family fun games. So the kids started when they were really little, but then my wife and I jumped on about 2 years ago with this reaction stuff, and it's just blowing up. We do everything from, the DC announcements like they just had with the Batman trailer. Then we've also recently gotten into watching some of the Bollywood trailers, which are huge.
Oh yeah.
Movie trailers and movies are massive, man. So
I have a funny thing. I interviewed Ali Kazmi, who's he's an actor in a lot of Bollywood productions. He's from Pakistan, and he's also talked to me about Lollywood and all that. And then I talked to him about how I watched a Bollywood movie in class. They made a show us in film class a long time ago, and then he was kind of like, "Why would they show you that movie? That movie's terrible." And he said that on the interview, and I was kind of like, "Oh." I didn't expect you to say that. It's there were so many other movies they could have showed you. I was like, oh my God.
I'll tell you, our viewers from that part of the planet are very good at teaching us, watch this, don't watch that. And they're very, very instructional, very forgiving because, like I said, my family and I are still learning a lot about that part of the industry. And it's just wonderful. It's great. We're living in this global community, and YouTube has brought us to a place where we can talk a little bit about. And people have noticed, hey, aren't you the data? Aren't you the principal on Cobra Kai? Yeah. And it's fun to tell people,
it's a pivot. It's a key scene. It is it's in there, for sure.
It breaks your heart. If Principal Lopez was truly more like me. Oh, it would have gone down so different. It would have gone because I think Principal Lopez is just a little bit his school is a lot more tame than he imagines. Absolutely. And I think it's a great scene to kind of get people involved.
And very quickly, whether you like the genre or not, I mean, we have to also talk about the horror movie genre is insane right now.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it? It's it's probably one of the hottest genre. It's the it genre right now.
Oh man, and they're making it. I'll tell you what I love about the horror genre right now. They're making it also digestible for people who don't like horror. Because it's starting to have different degrees of. For example, it is with the new cast and this new field.
Shout out to Jeremy Ray Taylor.
Jeremy Ray Taylor, yes, he did. My boy, my family, man. He's like family. So I love him and all the Taylors. he's he's a testament to him and that whole cast and the whole story. It makes something so horrific, this killer clown, and it makes it, if you can get some courage to sit through something that you can just kind of close your eyes through at times, you get through it. My wife saw it and she doesn't like horror movies, but we got through it. It's got a good theme, and a lot of these I think it's Hereditary, and that's another great one where you're dealing with things that are really to the human condition. And I'm currently watching Dark on Netflix. It's a German series.
Good.
Dude, it's like a psychological thriller. It's just really great. It's good stuff.
It's just like elevated. Like that genre is elevating. You know what I mean? Everything, which is great. But Jose, thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man. This was an awesome chat.
Thank you so much, Peter. Definitely, man. And listen, a quick little thing. I want everybody to know, especially fans of Cobra Kai, Netflix, look out for The Liberator coming out on Netflix later this year. It's a World War II drama. That's all I can say. It's going to be really great. Brand new way of telling World War II stories. And I think people will be intrigued to see some fascinating characters in history.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
They can just look me up on Instagram, Jose.Miguel.Vasquez. It's kind of simple. It's just my whole – I didn't use all of my 15 names. I just used 3 of them.
Perfect. Well, I really enjoyed the chat, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Jose Miguel Vasquez and PD Beats signing off.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.